And why did I mention, once again, a new way of looking at filling techniques? Because when we got the micro CT, we start trying to see and what can we do? How can we make better our treatment for our patients? So we decided at the time that I was in the last academic institution to really do a 3D analysis of different obturation methods. This tooth was done by Dr. Rigoberto Perez. And you can see, for example, in the distal root, this is the view of an X-ray. This is when we take the X-ray, we can actually pat ourselves and say, wow, what a great root canal I have done. But on this X-ray, we look at the distal canal that has been very well obturated. At least the Gutta-percha is trying to really mold itself to the canal walls. Now, let me show you stack images on the distal canal. As you can see, now we are going to start observing some voids on the distal canal. And all of our research are in lower molars because they have curvatures. Look at the voids there. And now the canal will be divergent. And look at it. When we take the X-ray buccolingual, we thought that one of the distal canal was completely obturated, but it's just covered with cement. No Gutta-percha whatsoever was done. And trust me, Dr. Rigoberto is an awesome endodontist. And he used to be a master with System B and Obtura 2. So if we see this tooth also from the mesio-distal view, we can see the lack of obturation in one of the canals in the distal. And look, all the voids, not only on the material itself, but also on the interface between canal wall and dentin. This is the buccolingual view with the micro CT, and look what is going to happen right now, right here. There is no Gutta-percha and the lack of adaptation. Look at it, voids, and the lack of adaptation of the material towards the canal walls. So, of course, Rigoberto was not that happy when we saw that, and then he says, come on, Sergio, I want you to do one. Well, I did the one with sectional or one vertical condensation and Calamus unit. Once again, this is the X-rays that I took from this tooth, and if you observe this on a patient, once again, we will pat ourselves and we will claim, look how good of a root canal we have done. So let's look at the distal canals. You can see here now, very soon you're going to be seeing voids. I was able to flow cement on the accessory canals, and look at here some voids. Okay, you can see the cement. Look at these voids, more cement and more voids. And you're going to say, well, what is the importance of these voids? I'm pretty sure there is no study until today that has been able to ascertain the outcomes if we have voids during time. It will be very difficult to ascertain that because we cannot put a patient's head inside of a micro or nano CT because the amount of radiation. But imagine if one of those voids are near of those complexities of the anatomic canals. Probably, and it has any contact towards the outside of the canal. In the beginning, we will have a very good outcome, but later on, I really don't know. Look at the voids and the lack of adaptation of this Gutta-percha. Look at it here in the canals. Look at all these voids that we have. So, what we ended up then doing, and look at on the distal view, look the ragged edges of this Gutta-percha and voids. And those are sections that you are seeing from the micro CT of 6.5 micron sections. So what happens was, or the extent of the problem, that no leakage studies are published in the Journal of Endodontics or International Endodontic Journal and in other journals. Why? Because the companies are saying, or some studies are saying that this technique is better than the other one. And what happened with the two journals is that when a material in the past made a big emphasis or big noise in the United States, even we did a research study with that material. We filled the canals using, and then we studied the canals using what is called a fluid filtration. That was a technique invented by designed by Dr. Pashley and modified by Dr. Wu. And the material that we used did not leak at all. My God, what a great material, we thought. And then we took exactly the same teeth, no different teeth, exactly the same teeth. And then we put it in a fluid, in a filtration of on a centrifuge with India ink. And oh my God, all those canals, they were leaking all the way from the apex all the way to the entrance of the canal. And they were the same teeth. So different methodologies, different results. So they decided not to. To make a little things worse, it was Michael Holtzman who published in 2013 and the International Endodontic Journal this editorial, and where he's pushing for all of the journals not to publish anymore, not only studies on leakage, but any type of leakage, fluid filtration, bacteria, etc., and also cyclic fatigue studies or apex locator studies. It's a very interesting editorial. And I had the opportunity to talk to Michael in one of the European meetings, and I said, Michael, you're really destroying a lot of students' life, because once, and especially in the United States and all around the world, but in the United States, a graduate endodontic student must do a research study to graduate. It's in the CODA standards. So if they're not going to be able to see those articles, those research, or it becomes an article, they will see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's not fair. But at any rate, not only the International Endodontic Journal, but also was the Journal of Endodontics and his editor, Dr. Ken Hargreaves, that they decided not to until a new methodology was created that everybody can follow and really ascertain which material is better or which technique is better to do this root canal fillings. So we thought by using the micro CT, we were elevating the bar so everybody can use it. So for that purpose, we did these studies, because there is a lack of evidence on filling techniques. The manufacturers will claim that my material is superior to the other material. All around the world, there is the belief that you can bond anything inside the root canals, any material you can bond inside the root canal, which is not true, as I'm going to show you, and that a single cone technique is superior to condensed Gutta-percha. And that was really the reason that triggered us to do this. It was a company in the United States that they were advocating single cone. It's the best thing because you will create a monoblock. So for that purpose, we were looking into the literature, and it was Francesca Monticelli that in 2007 in the Journal of Endodontics, she published this article. And the claim was that this company in the United States is Brasseler, which is called Active GP Gutta-percha, which is a Gutta-percha that is coated with glass ionomer cement. And according to the manufacturer's instruction, it states clearly that you prepare, for example, to the size 2506. And then what you need to do is to get a laser match Gutta-percha to that particular file, which is coated with this glass ionomer cement. You will put glass ionomer cement inside the canal. Please don't believe a word I say. You can actually see this because those were the instructions of this material. Then you put the glass ionomer cement, and then you place inside all the way to working in this single cone active GP, and you wiggle that on the end and the canal, and then you sever with heat at the entrance of the canal, and you have created a monoblock. And I said always this, and very respectfully, the stupidity of the American legal system. There are two great endodontists that they have patented the word monoblock. That means that if any person around the world invents something that truly produces a monoblock, they have to pay royalties to these two endodontists. But forget about that. What is monoblock? If we go into the Greek and Latin roots, mono means one, block means one piece. So it was Francesca Monticelli that she did a bacterial leakage study on this material, and she compared this material with thermoplasticized Gutta-percha and AH plus cement. And she showed scientifically that the monoblock or single cone technique leaked a lot of bacteria. So this is the article that proves and shows scientifically why we cannot bond inside the root canal. If we are doing a posterior composite. When we use a high speed, the type of smear layer that we create is different from the one that we create inside the root canals. And inside the root canals, that smear layer is more dense and is more pushed towards the dentinal tubules. But it was Franklin Tai and David Pashley from Augusta, Georgia at the university that they clearly showed that you cannot bond inside the root canal. Not only that, why in a posterior composite, for example, we condition the walls, and after we condition the walls, we put a little bit of material, we condense a little bit, and then we cure that material. So what are we doing? We don't put the material in at once, all the material to fill up the cavity, and then we just cure this material, because it will be what? The C factor, it will contract, it will shrink towards the center. And imagine that's in a cavity that we can manipulate that material. What do we do inside the root canal? It's impossible to achieve. So the highlights of these studies were to compare cold Gutta-percha techniques, lateral condensation, single cone active GP, and the glass ionomer cement, or the BC sealers that they were coming up to the market in the early 2007, 2008. Then we compare one Gutta-percha techniques, one sectional, and also using the dual Calamus units. And then to compare the filling techniques with the core obturators, ThermaFill, Protein Obturator, GT Obturators, ProVortex Obturators, Gutta-core, and Real Seal, and Soft Core. The Gutta-core was not included in that study because at that time when we started it, Gutta-core was not in the market. So we finished the studies and we submitted the studies, and after I submitted, immediately I called them back because I didn't know that the supply was launching Gutta-core, and I didn't want to do a research study only on one material. I just wanted to put it into as another group in this study. So we were comparing this with this new technology, which is the micro CT. We started it, then we added the Gutta-core, and by the time that we were redoing the articles, the Real Seal, which is Resilon, was pulled out of the market. And at that time also I started being involved in the creation of Way 1 and then Way 1 Gold File to prepare root canals on a reciprocating motion, and we were not finished this, but we have the samples, and I'm pretty sure very soon, now with a little more time, we are going to be publishing this, but this is this study.